You're telling me I got hit by a Prius and woke up married to a man who doesn't even like omelets? That was the least of my concerns when a 3-year-old started calling me mommy. It started with the blinding headlights and a very unglamorous thud. I remembered the hot asphalt. My body sprawled like a rag doll. And then nothing. Until I woke up in a king-sized bed with silk sheets that cost more than my student loans, wearing a silk robe that barely covered my knees, and a voice called out from the hallway, deep and irritated. Don't forget Milo's breakfast, Elijah. He only eats soft-boiled eggs. And don't burn the toast again. I blinked. Elijah? I bolted from the bed and made a beeline for the mirror. Same face, same hair, same anxious gay 20-something me. Except I wasn't in my 500-square-foot apartment in Chicago anymore. I was in a penthouse straight out of a billionaire romance novel. I was living with an emotionally constipated CEO, and apparently, I was the doting wife. Cue panic attack number 1 of the day. The man in question, Sebastian King. Cold, perfectly sculpted. The kind of man who speaks in sentences that sound like closing statements in a courtroom. His cheekbones had more structure than my entire life. And apparently he hated me. We didn't share a room, or a bed, or much conversation, aside from sarcastic remarks and tense silences over breakfast. And then there was Milo, curly-haired, soft-spoken, and dangerously adorable. He came wobbling into the kitchen with a pacifier in one hand and a drawing of 3 stick figures in the other. One was tall, in a suit. One was short, in a pink apron. The third was him, holding both our hands. He looked up at me with those giant eyes and said, "Mommy, can you draw next time?" Mommy. Not Papa. Not Uncle. Mommy. I didn't even know how I got here, much less how to parent a toddler in the middle of what seemed like an alternate universe written by someone obsessed with enemies to lovers drama. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe this was a coma dream, or a punishment from the gods of gay fanfiction. But it didn't matter. I was here now, and Milo needed soft-boiled eggs. And someone to keep Sebastian from turning into an emotional brick wall. The early days were awkward. I burnt toast daily. Sebastian barely looked at me unless it was to critique my choice of pajamas. And Milo kept drawing more and more pictures of us as a family. It was like he knew something we didn't. Until the night of the fever. Milo was burning up. I held him, frantic, rocking him in the living room while dialing the number for the Dr. Sebastian had on speed dial. He came home earlier than usual and froze at the door. His eyes weren't cold then. They were human, afraid. He took Milo from my arms with trembling hands and whispered, "Don't ever let anything happen to him." I saw the cracks that night, not just in Sebastian but in me too, because I realized I didn't want to leave. Not yet. Not if this was the only place where that little boy looked at me like I was his world. And not if that cold-hearted CEO could look at me like I mattered. 1 week turned into 3. I learned Sebastian liked his coffee black but not bitter. That he worked too much because he was terrified of being vulnerable. That he wasn't as heartless as he pretended to be, just didn't know how to be soft. We fought. We misunderstood each other. We both carried shadows. But we also had moments. A brush of fingers while reaching for the same plate. A lingering glance when I tucked Milo into bed. A late-night conversation in the dim kitchen where he admitted, "I never asked for this life either. But Milo needs us both." One morning, I found him asleep on the couch with Milo snuggled against his chest. His hand rested lightly on the baby's back, his other hand still gripping one of Milo's drawings. I stood there too long. Long enough that Sebastian stirred and caught me watching. He didn't flinch. He didn't scowl. He just said, "Come here." And I did. We fell into something fragile and unnamed. Something that made it harder for me to remember this wasn't real. That I didn't belong here. But then came the twist. An old friend of Sebastian's showed Eupanex. One who knew too much. He smirked over wine and whispered, "So this is the husband you married out of convenience? You always did hate being alone." I laughed it off, but the seed was planted. Convenience. Was that all this was? I tried to pull away. I distanced myself. But Milo noticed. His drawings changed. The 3 stick figures drifted apart. And Sebastian? He noticed too. One night, I found him pacing outside my door, fists clenched, jaw tight. If you're going to leave, just do it. Don't torture me with the silence. I stared at him. You want me gone? No, he admitted, breath trembling. But I don't know how to make you stay. I crossed the space between us and cupped his face. You don't have to make me. Just be honest. Is this still convenience? He hesitated, then whispered, no. It stopped being that the moment I saw you holding him like your life depended on it. He kissed me then, soft, careful, as if I might disappear. Maybe I already had, from the world I came from, but I no longer cared. We fell in love, not the explosive, movie-type love. Ours was quieter, warmer, built in shared routines, toddler tantrums, and messy breakfasts, in whispered apologies and slow dances in the kitchen after midnight. And one evening, as we sat on the floor with Milo in our laps, Sebastian pulled out a worn drawing, one with 3 stick figures. He said, you never signed your name on this family. I looked at him, heart pounding. He smiled, eyes softer than I'd ever seen. Will you? I didn't answer. I just reached for the crayon and wrote, Mommy, right under my stick figure. Because maybe I didn't wake up in the world I knew, but I found the one I needed. And in that world, love wasn't a label. It was a choice. One we made every single day. Together. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.